Hi guys, welcome to Full Time Devils. I am Adam McKola. This is the Manchester United against Newcastle United preview ahead of the big Premier League fixture this weekend. Today, I am joined by Paul from United Rantcast, Stephen Howson from Stephen Howson Stuff, and of course, the best thing to come out of Newcastle since Biker Grove, Lee from Newcastle Fans TV. How you guys all doing? You all good today?
Always nice to hear a Biker Grove mensch.
It's a good, you look at the faces on Steve and Paul and even myself at times, even though I'm smiling, it's not really a smile. And the first topic today is positivity, guys. So the perfect topic for us all. I'm going to come to you first, Paul, and ask how important it is for United to win this game heading into the international break. We all know what has gone before this game. How important is it that we get a victory this weekend?
I'm sort of tempted to say it doesn't matter at all, because what's going to change either way? No, I mean, it depends on what you see as the short, medium-term future of the club. Obviously, it's so early in the season that there's no games at the moment which are must-win games. That's such a kind of construct. But if you're Jose Mourinho and you want to keep the United job, then I would imagine you've got to be thinking seriously that you don't want to give Ed Woodward 2 weeks to find some intestinal fortitude and pull the trigger. So I think from Mourinho's perspective, it's very important. I think from United's perspective in general, it's just another game in the post-Ferguson era, and it'll go whichever way it's going to go. And if we win this game and play really well, that'd be amazing. We'd all love that. But what's going to happen is the same thing that happened after the kind of Burnley, Watford young boys run. The foundations are too shaky at the moment for any individual result to mean that much.
It does certainly feel like we're in a bit of a cycle, doesn't it? Because even when we win, it kind of feels like papering over the cracks a little bit. Steve, do you think Jose could survive this international break if the worst thing did happen and we didn't get a victory at the weekend? I say we didn't get a victory rather than we lose, because I still feel like a draw would be treated like a defeat.
With the way the ground is, I mean, that was one of the weirdest atmospheres I've ever experienced at Old Trafford that midweek against Valencia, and it ended with boos. And I think if the game starts in the same manner, and we ultimately, I mean, 0-0s are pretty painful, aren't they? Let's be honest with ourselves. Like, a 5-5 draw is not the same as a 0-0 draw. Let's be honest with ourselves. But a 0-0 draw or like a 1-0 defeat, or even like a really terrible 1-0 win, actually, might all be treated with the same sort of derision from the crowd. I don't know is the answer, because there was signs that I thought, well, if we lose against West Ham, I can see them getting rid. If we don't win against Valencia, I can see them getting rid. And it's like, now they're going to sack him. No, now they're going to sack him. No, now they're going to sack him. And if you look at their previous sacking history, they've only ever done it at the end of a season. They've never done it this early in a season. So what gives us the thought that, one, that they care, because there's, I believe, contractual clauses which enables them to get rid of people when Champions League qualification isn't secured and things of that nature. I honestly don't know what enters the Glazers' heads, because if I was running a football club, I'd be going for excellence. I'd be trying to win everything, and I wouldn't be saying, do us a favour, just get into the Champions League and then we can cover all of our sponsorship requirements and we don't have any penalties in that sense. They're not running the football club like any of us would, so I can't apply my logic to how someone that wouldn't treat it the same way that I would does. My own opinion is, if we don't turn it around against Newcastle, there's been times and opportunities, and the inconsistency that we've shown at the start of the season leads me to believe that this guy isn't capable of turning it around. But as I said to you after the Valencia game, it almost doesn't matter who it is. If you get somebody else in, yes, I can see a benefit and a short-term lift, but we are not set up long-term to be successful. Joe, Manchester City went through 19 managers in the time that we had Sir Alex. Are you telling me they appointed 19 duds? I think it's almost impossible to appoint 19 bad managers. The problem was, and the problem that we could find ourselves in, is that the club isn't set up to be successful in terms of patience, belief, or anything along that sort of nature. And I think until we sort some things out in the back room, it doesn't matter whether we appoint, the new Fergie, Zidane, or Big Sam, to be honest.
We might need Big Sam if we keep falling towards the bottom of that table. Before we go to Lee for his thoughts as a neutral, I just want to send this question to both Paul and Steve. Do you feel like there's any positivity around the club at the moment? Because it does all feel doom and gloom, doesn't it?
19s and 18s pretty positive.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I mean, you see that everything that Steve just said there about the structure of the club is obviously absolutely bang on. But to my mind, given that the structure of the club isn't going to change, because we're probably talking about a market valuation in the region of £5 billion.
Saving up. Don't be negative, Paul. I'm saving up.
Yeah, based on market cap, based on all the various different things that you would use to estimate the value of United. So the structure of the club probably isn't going to change unless we're talking about lower down. The structure of the club might change in terms of they're talking about bringing in a technical director and these sorts of things. But I actually think what this means is you desperately need the right kind of manager in this situation. That the only way you're going to get any kind of relief from the drudgery of it all is by having a manager who's prepared to play the game with the board, who knows what they're getting into and can kind of handle the politics, and isn't going to use that as a kind of like, oh well, what can I possibly do then?
Excuse.
And but in terms of positivity, for me personally, the positivity comes from the quality of players we have in our squad, which this is being repeatedly dismissed left, right and centre. Everyone on the internet will tell you they're all rubbish and the managers can't possibly do anything with these hopeless no-hopers, like these World Cup winning no-hopers. But, so for me, there are a lot of really exciting and good players in our squad who, given the right circumstances, could actually do something.
I think that any coach should look at our team and think, I would love to work with that team. Look at how many decent young players all I got to do is chuck in a few.
Do you know one of the major issues that I do have with the lack of the ball playing centre half and the lack of the intelligent centre half is that we had not only a brilliant footballer, not only a ball playing centre half, but a goddamn handsome bastard in Daley Blind that we let go as well. You know what I mean? Yeah, I can sympathise with Jose on some things. But when you get rid of someone like that, that's been absolutely banging at Ajax since he's left, he could have made Chris Smalling look world class for a season playing alongside him. Daley Blind might be magic.
Right. Yeah, I agree. By the way, it's absolute nonsense, and yet again talking rubbish in the press. Lee, you've been quiet there for a bit. From the outside looking in, what do you think of the way Manchester United is run? Because as a Newcastle fan, you guys are obviously not happy with the way your club's run either. So from the outside looking in, what do you think of all this that we've just discussed?
From us, it seems to be a bit reverse. From an outsider looking in, it seems to be, for me, is that your manager's causing the problems. For me, he's too negative. He's far, far too negative. We've seen it with Luke Shaw. I don't know what's happened to Alexis Sanchez since he's got in the club. I don't know what he looks like a donut. With Rafa Benitez, he even praises Hoslo. I mean, that's saying something, even if it's Hoslo, whoever it is. It's positivity, regardless of the situation which Newcastle are in. The problem that we have is the owner, which is, we know about Mike Ashley. From Hughes, it just seems to be stemming from the whole Mourinho situation. I don't know what it is. He just seems to be so negative. And if that manager was at my club, I would want him out the door. Don't get me wrong, he's won trophies and so on, but the way he goes on, the way he treats his players. I mean, you guys follow United thick and thin, but from looking from an outsider, Mourinho picks on his players, and I think it's bang on board. I mean,
I hear you.
It's so nice to hear that said from someone that isn't like in the bubble and like kind of, like all of us are a bit obsessed with United. It's really nice to hear that from the outside, because sometimes you feel like you're going a bit mad when you feel that way, and then everyone's shouting at you going, "Oh, you're an idiot, we finished second." You know.
I hear that. I'm just going to ask everyone for a one-word answer, or two if you say the club's full name. Who is the worst run club, Manchester or Newcastle United?
Us?
Yes, it's Newcastle United.
Yeah, I agree. I know Chris made us ask it, but Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to throw West Ham into the mix as being another shitly run club as well. Maybe we should start giving trophies out for it.
We might win one then.
No, we'd finish second again to Newcastle though.
Yeah. Steve will be happy with second though, so it's all right. Sorry, Steve. I'm sorry, Steve.
So
Slandering my good name. I'm getting a dead leg later.
You haven't got a good name anyway. Moving on from that to Romelu Lukaku. Now, 5 starts in a row for Romelu Lukaku. No goals for him in those starts. He hasn't scored since that game against Watford. Are we worried about Romelu Lukaku, Steve?
Well, imagine giving an opinion about Romelu Lukaku that gets taken in context and not clipped up for absolute banter by idiot Arsenal fans. Anyway, no, I am worried about Lukaku. I'm very worried about him because, like I've said, last season, Lukaku scores us 27 goals and he's a donkey. And Van Persie scored us 30 league goals and won us the league. 30 goals overall even, and won us the league. There can't be that much difference between the two of them. Last season he had a pretty good season, not perfect, went on a bit of a slump of form, but he had a very good season for us, particularly his first at a massive club like United. But I think the guy needs a rest, and when you look at the targets that Jose was allegedly trying to bring in, forget about the defensive targets, he was clearly looking at some sort of a target man. That's why he was linked with Mandzukic, Arnautovic, somebody like that. Now, if you can imagine, if we had somebody like that in the squad, they can take the pressure off Lukaku by probably playing against Derby, possibly featuring for half an hour in the Champions League when you've got what you needed out of Lukaku, or maybe even playing for an hour and you bring Lukaku on at the end for the last 30, because he looks like he's suffering from a massive World Cup hangover, and he's not his own as well, because Jesse Lingard has hardly pulled up trees this season, and there's several other players that really look like they're suffering on the back of a World Cup. And I think because we haven't got a plan A nailed down yet, right? Which is a nightmare for us. But we haven't got a plan A nailed down exactly how. Here's what we do. You can throw Jeeves in all you want, mate. It doesn't matter. Sometimes this happens. You haven't got a plan A out of the players that you've got now, right? That's a fact that we've got at the moment. So you can't start working on what plan B is until you know what plan A is, because that's just madness. And I think plan B probably should be a combination of maybe 2 up front, Martial and Lukaku, or Rashford and Martial, or Rashford and Sanchez, some combination like that plays in a different sort of manner to the way that plan A does when you've got Lukaku as your first option. Because we play to Lukaku quite direct, usually out of David De Gea, and we try and use him as a hold-up target man and play off him and play around him. Now, we can't do that, or we suffer majorly when we do that, when he's not at form. When he's flying, the whole system can start to work around him. But when he's out of form, he looks knackered at the moment. That's why I compared him with Ronaldo the other week when we was outside Old Trafford, and I said, at times, he's got the pace and power of somebody like Ronaldo. And you know what I think about Ronaldo? He is the top of the top for me. And sometimes that raw energy that you see out of Lukaku is phenomenal. You even saw it at times against Valencia, but for 1 second flashes, you're not seeing him doing 40-yard sprints and stuff. But against Wolves, he didn't have a touch, less than usual. He didn't look like he could beat a man. Lukaku's pretty actually good at throwing a step over and taking the ball the other way. But it was so predictable, you could see it coming from a mile off, and it wasn't even quick. And that's something, this guy needs a rest, and it's more obvious when you're Lukaku's size than when you're Lingard's size. Lingard can hide it a little bit, being smaller, and someone who's like addicted to running the way he is. But Lukaku is a big dude. When you're a tired big dude, it looks 150% worse than when you're a tired smaller dude, because you do start to lumber around the pitch. The guy needs a break.
Yeah.
He needs to be like, hamstring's a bit tight. Maybe I won't go on an international break. He needs a break. Or we need to figure out a way to get him out of the team for a little bit, play other people in his place. And
it's kind of the problem we had when Zlatan was here, where Jose just couldn't not play him. And we're doing that with Romelu Lukaku. One thing that plays in my mind, I remember listening to a Michael Owen interview on BT Sport, and he said, this is a little bit different because Rom's not injured as far as I'm aware. But he said when he used to have little niggles and little injuries, instead of running in behind defenders, because he didn't have that confidence, he'd come short to make the midfielders mind up and to make it easier for himself. So he could just give off a short pass. And it looks like he's involved, but really he's just lacking so much confidence. He doesn't want to go the other way and try and get in behind. And that's how Rom looks like sometimes. Like when the option's there for him to stretch wide, or when the option's there for him to go, he just comes short. And I feel sorry for him. Sanchez looks very, very similar to that as well. And something that thing that Owen said kind of plays in my mind when I watch Romelu Lukaku playing. Paul, what have you thought about Rom? Because last season was his best ever season in terms of goal scoring ever. And this season, he's scored 7 goals or something for club and country. But it looks like he's got 0 in 7 years.
There's just a couple of things. First of all, I can't believe we've got a guest from Newcastle on. You brought up Michael Owen. That's very insensitive.
Sorry.
And secondly, Steve talked about Lukaku doing stepovers and going the other way. Well, that sort of happened against Valencia, didn't it? It's just it wasn't the way he was planning to take the ball.
It was quick, though. It was quick.
It was quick. Listen, I'm not worried about Romelu Lukaku in terms of like what's going to happen out from here. What's going to happen is he's going to hit a patch of form at some point in the next couple of months and score a goal a game or a goal close to, better than every other game for an extended period of time, because this is Lukaku's trajectory. I am very concerned about his form at the moment, and I think Mourinho actually said during pre-season, he said it's all very well if I play, he was talking about like Pogba and Lukaku and the players that went deep in the World Cup, so all very good if they're available for me in the first week of the season, but that means 6 weeks into the season they won't be, and we're a little bit longer than that. But Steve's right, the World Cup hangover effect is real. These Lukaku didn't have a pre-season, he just made himself available straight away, which of course Mourinho loves that sort of thing because it's manly. But he absolutely without question needs a break. And if only we had any other players that could play at centre forward in our squad.
If only we had a youngster like Rashford, Lee.
The thing is, Rashford can't play the same way Lukaku plays. We saw it against
not
Leicester.
the same way.
We tried to play the same way with Rashford up front.
But
and
playing with
terrible.
Lukaku against Valencia is like playing with no one.
We saw against in the FA Cup final, we saw Rashford completely fail to step. I'm pretty sure it was Rashford, not Martial. Completely failed to step into Lukaku's boots. But then, and I kind of agree with you that if you don't have Plan A nailed down, then you can't come up with a Plan B. But I sound like a broken record, and I feel like one. Like, I just want to make this clear. This isn't an agenda. This isn't like knee-jerk reaction. This is me thinking all the thoughts I can possibly think about this and coming up with the same conclusion over and over again, which is if you've got Martial, Rashford and Alexis Sanchez in your squad and you're saying, I can't possibly drop Lukaku, then you need to think differently about football, because like it's not that complicated.
It's not. And to be fair, the talent levels of those players aren't that different. I know Romelu Lukaku's got years and goals ahead of them, but in a game, if I was a striker, I'd be as scared of Sanchez as I am of Lukaku, Rashford too. Lee, what do you think about Romelu Lukaku as a number 9?
How many chances, Adam, does he get a game?
I'll be honest, this season he's had more than he did last season. I felt like last season he was doing well with the chances he had. And this time, he scored goals, but he should have had way more.
The way I look at it is, it reminds me of like that Shearer mould, that Drogba mould. He's big, he's powerful, and he needs service. That's what it looks like for me. I mean, we had a striker like that, Newcastle reliant service going in the box, and he just seems to be that type of striker that needs it. So, I mean, how many chances is he getting per game on average?
It's not a lot. He's missed some chances that he shouldn't have missed, but that isn't the same as he's had loads and loads of chances every game. And I think that when he's in bad form and then you miss a couple of big chances, it all gets accelerated. I mean, United are not creating chances. If you look at the data, it all says that we've scored about as many goals as you'd expect us to score. We've actually conceded slightly more based on the chances we've conceded. But anyway, that's...
Against us, I don't think Lukaku will get many chances because the way Rafa sets up, he's so defensive. There'll not be much space, and then there'll be possibly 5 at the back. So how many chances realistically is Lukaku going to get in this game?
Probably one, big one.
And he's got to put it away for use to get a goal, to get 3 points. So he's talented. Is he at that next level? Not for me. I think he's just a bracket down for me.
See, that's the annoying thing. Like, we're going into a home game against, all due respects, a Newcastle side who, we would expect to beat at home. and we're saying we're going to create one chance for our main striker. It shows you that all the problems don't lie with individual players. Anyway, we are going to go to an ad break. Right then, predicted 11 time before we all go crazy. Last time around, the opposition Valencia fan David Garrido got 8 out of 11. So that's the target for you, Lee, to come top in our opposition table. But at the moment, Paul Rantcast, you're on 9 with 4 appearances. Now, Mo is ahead of you on 10, but he's only been in 1 preview so far. So you are at the top of that table.
Get him on a League Cup preview. Oh, hang on.
I've been on one. We've only played one League Cup game, and I was on it.
Yep. You see, Paul's just a realist. You should learn from him, Steve. Lee, can we get your team, please? Because we know we've had you on, and you haven't spoken much because we've been moaning.
Well, I'm torn between, does Rafa go 5 at the back or does he go 4? I'm going to be brave. Rafa's going to be brave and he's going to play 4 at the back. So I'm going to go Dubravka goal. And it'll be Yedlin at right back. It'll be Jamal Lascelles and Fernandez if he makes it. Left back will be Dummett. It'll be Richie on the right. Shelby's massive for us. He'll play. He'll be in centre midfield. He'll go with Diarme alongside him. Left, he will go Kennedy. Perez in the 10 and Porcelino up top. That's my 11.
It sounds like I love that they come to Old Trafford and decide to drop one defender, possibly. Paul, seeing as you're top of the league, kind of, you can go first from the Reds.
I think this is a really difficult one. I mean, the one that Mo got 10, I got 11 for that one, and because it was easy. Like it was really straightforward what he was going to do. But this one, I feel like it's just completely up in the air. So obviously it'll be Dave in goal, and there's no way he's going to play 5 at the back. That would be absolutely outrageous. That's not going to happen. So Valencia.
Will
Smalling.
Valencia keep his spot after liking that Instagram post?
I mean, surely that was an accident.
He's not Pogba, is he, as well? So
no, exactly.
Accident.
Yeah. No, I genuinely, knowing what Antonio Valencia's English is like, the caption was in English, right?
No, the caption was in Spanish.
Oh, that's a little tricky then. But I'm still going Valencia. Smalling and someone. Lindelof, I guess.
You not think Bailly played well enough to keep his spot?
It's not about what I think, is it?
McTominay then at centre half.
Yeah, Luke Shaw at left back. Fellaini, Fred, Pogba, and then up front Lukaku, Sanchez, and Rashford again, because Rashford was all right, wasn't he, against Valencia. But honestly, my confidence level of what the starting 11, of that being the starting 11, is very, very low indeed.
I liked your midfield because I'm of the opinion that Matic needs to get dropped like it's hot, and Fellaini is ahead of him in the pecking order and should. If we're going to be playing one of those big lumps in midfield, you play one, especially at home. And at the moment, it should be Fellaini. I think Matic has been god awful.
And I think. We've obviously played with 2 holding at home quite a bit, but it's Benitez. Like, Mourinho will surely know that Benitez is going to come to spoil. You mentioned a 5-5 draw earlier. Imagine if Mourinho and Benitez play out a 5-5 draw. It'd be the greatest moment in football history. So
I'll get a tattoo of them kissing on my chest.
They wouldn't have a 5-5 draw in cricket. Never mind in football. Bloody hell. God, defending every shot. Steve?
I actually disagree that Fellaini's been better than Matic, certainly in the last game as well.
Yeah, it's
apart from that, he's not. I thought Matic was decent, actually.
But you said Lukaku looks like R9, so, what do you know?
I'm seeing you later. You've got to watch out. Starting 11-wise, I would go with David De Gea in net. I think that's a bold claim, but let's have it. I'm going to go with Delo at right back. I don't think it's a retribution for liking tweets, but I think that it was so bad. Honestly, I'd have shouted abuse at him if I'd have seen him in the street. Like, oh my God, it's time, hang him up, have a sore knee, do something, but stop it, because he's getting into some absolutely banging crosses, and it's like someone's bet him that he can't cross it into the box. He gets into the right areas and is like, oh, remember the bet. So on the left, I think Luke Shaw, and I'd stick with Bayer and Smalling, because I do think they'll go quite direct, and I think Bayer matches up with it quite well. You're not really going to try and play out the back against Newcastle in the way that you would want to play Lindelof, who, to be honest, looks like a lost little lamb at times as well. So Bayer and Smalling is probably what it should be. Matic in the 6. I want Fred and I want Pogba. And another reason I want Matic, Fred and Pogba is Matic ain't any sort of speed merchant, but I think he plays the ball faster than Fellaini, or he's got the ability to play the ball faster than Fellaini. And I think that was what we really lacked. And what annoyed me against Valencia is how slow we was transitioning through midfield with Matic and Fellaini. And I'd love someone like Pereira to have been involved there, because I think that might be... I mean, even this game against Newcastle might be a real game when you need someone that can pick a lock and actually play a ball around a corner, because it's going to be tight. Pereira could be that guy, but I think it might be Fred.
Hasn't Pereira been just put down now since Brighton?
I don't know. And then my forward 3, Alexis on the right, because I actually think he didn't look terrible there on the right-hand side. I think he got hamstringed by the fact he's got Valencia with him. I think if he had Delo that was overlapping, that gives him that little bit of a yard of space. He can play Delo in, Delo can play him in, and I think you have a bit more of an attacking outlet on that right-hand side. On the left-hand side, Marcus Rashford, because I think he was our best player against Valencia. His energy, his work rate, his attitude, like Roy Keane said the other day, sometimes you've just got to wear a bit of pride when you put that shirt on, and you've got to forget whatever is going on with the manager, and you've just got to play football because it's just you. And I think Marcus Rashford does that better than anybody in the club at the moment. He just goes out there and he plays his game. Luke Shaw's been great this season. He's probably our player of the season so far. If he was going to reward it, I think Luke Shaw probably rightly deserves that. But yeah, Marcus Rashford. I don't know who's going to take corners, because I tell you what, like, why do we even?
Luke Shaw should be taking them. What I don't get, we took a corner against who? Rashford scored from Luke Shaw's corner, and then this midweek against Valencia, all the corners were awful. Shaw swings one in, we get a chance from it, and then that's the last one he took in the game. Like, what the hell? What?
Yeah, I don't know why people stop clapping when we get corners at Old Trafford. Clap when we get goal kicks. Don't clap when we get corners. This is madness. Like, if we had to replay the Champions League final right now, the last 3 minutes of it, 1-0 down, 2 corners, there's no way it's not going to end 1-0.
Yeah, we'd be
there's
about
no way that we win that
well,
game.
by the way.
We can't score from corners if our life depends on it. So, yeah.
I'm not giving a team, but what I would say is, I'm not giving a team, but I would play Marshall, Rashford, and Sanchez in the front 3. Just go with something different. I feel for Lukaku at the moment. He looks like a man that has no confidence. He's playing like a man that has no confidence. And the frustrating thing for me is, at the World Cup, he was bullying defenders. And now, challenges are there, and he's not even going in for them. He's not even attempting to try and hurt the defender, try and get the ball, anything. And it's just like, just go with someone else and change it up a little bit. Anyway, Lee, this is where you come and shine on the show, because this is about the opposition. What can you tell us about Newcastle, what have you made of your start to the season so far?
It's like that. On and off the pitch is an absolute nightmare at the minute. This will be our 5th big team, which doesn't help us. It's well documented that we don't have any funds. We've got to sell before we buy. You know, you talk about some of the players who are just reeling off left, right and centre. They would just command a place in Newcastle's 11. It's staying up. We've got to stay up, and unfortunately, until Mike Ashley, the fat man, sells the club, we're going to be struggling. You know, I grew up with Egan in the mid-90s, and going into Kenny Dalglish, into Bobby Robson, but those times have gone now. We cannot live in the past, we've got to live in the present. You know, there's talk about Peter Kenyon, which you guys know very well, of course, at United. Is he the man that comes in and saves the club? Who knows? Anything could be better. Mike Ashley trusts us.
I hate Kenyon. He should have got us one. Not really. You know, that absolute snide.
Oh, anything's better than Mike Ashley trusts us.
I don't know about that, like.
Oh,
No, I think
I think
it would be better.
there's an order of magnitude of competence difference between Peter Kenyon and Mike Ashley. Like, that's not even on the same page.
Mike Ashley can't even walk down the street without getting thumped. Put it that way. I think it is frustrating, but I think once we have this game out of the way, we have a run of 10 games where we're playing mid-table teams. I think
You're playing a mid-table team Saturday?
Well, you're not going to finish mid-table, are you?
Ooh.
Let's be.
We
Until
can but hope.
Liverpool, up until then, we've got teams around us. So we will start climbing the table. I think we're going to nick it. I think we'll win this one. I think Mourinho will stop out some more, and I think I'm going to gun for that win. I may look stupid right now in hindsight, but I reckon Newcastle are going to nick it from a set piece this weekend. Very silent, aren't you, lads?
Well, the thing is, there would have been a time where we'd have all burst out laughing at that because Newcastle didn't win for 150 years or whatever it was at Old Trafford. But then David Moyes came along, and since then, all bets are off. That's perfectly reasonable.
I've got to be positive, and the win will come. The law of averages stays. We'll win sooner rather than later. Yes, we're shocking against Leicester, but we won't be beaten by the big teams by one goal because the problem that we have is we sit so deep, we cannot get forward. That's the issue that we've got. We can't get bodies forward.
Sounds like we're the same team almost.
How do you feel about Benitez? What do you think he's doing about as good as he could hope to do, or are you frustrated with him?
I think there's more. It's coming out the woodwork more and more. Newcastle fans are getting a little bit more frustrated that simple things that when you're getting beat at home, why are you so defensive? Why not go for 2 up top? Why not go for 3 up top? Why not go direct? Mix it up a little bit. For us, there is a little bit of criticism coming into the game with Rafa Benitez. I mean, there's small people coming out the woodwork. There's not many. I mean, he's still loved up here, but he's the perfect man for Mike Ashley because we're not spending any money and he's keeping the club in the Premier League. I know it looks quite bleak at the moment, but I think we will climb the table. And he's a perfect man for Mike Ashley. Why is Rafa Benitez still at the club? He can just go out and walk into another job across Europe. And I think he's only here because of us, the fans. That's the only reason he's here. And yes, £1 million a year, what have you. It's really, really frustrating as a Newcastle fan, just trying to stay up and just compute the likes spend money. Huddersfield spending more money than us. It's a joke. Until Mike Ashley gets at the club, we're going to be in the bottom end of the Premier League year on year on, no matter who's in charge. You can have Mourinho at Newcastle and we would struggle because of Mike Ashley.
You would
yeah, you would.
You would struggle. Moving on from that, well, has either of you guys got anything to add about the opposition? Anybody you fear?
Yeah, I was really impressed with Kennedy last year, but this year, I don't know who you signed instead. I think the old switcheroo that we got with Sanchez has happened. He just doesn't look anything like himself, and they are as dire as we are, but they have also played some serious teams in this division as well, and I think you couldn't really have expected them to have many more points. I think the Crystal Palace game is probably one that you're like, come on, man, we've got to be doing better there. But everybody else, you're like, didn't expect you to beat Arsenal, didn't expect you to beat Sid. Do you know what I mean? So it's probably the right time for you guys to play us because you could really kickstart something on the back of this. I just hope it isn't, to be honest.
Hope it is.
Yeah. I think in terms of threats, it's more the threat really isn't so much what they've got going forward, obviously, because that's not really the strength of the side. It's whether or not their defence can be well organised enough to stop us, which I think is going to depend really heavily on which version of United turn up, which is such a, it's such a coin flip.
First 10 or 15 minutes against Valencia, I was like, oh, rabbit here.
Yeah,
and then it was like,
Have you noticed the team resemble the fans at the moment? Because the fans were the same in that game. We started off really up for it, and then we just kind of, oh, it's the same old. And I feel like the team are doing that as well. They kind of feel like, and then, oh, it's just same old crap. Anyway, score predictions, guys. Paul?
1-0 to Manchester United.
I'll go one.
Oh, sorry. Go on, Lee.
I'll go 1-0 to Newcastle from a set piece.
I might as well split the difference. I'm going to say 1-1.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 2-0 to Manchester United. I I don't think it will be convincing, and I don't think it will answer any questions for us. But I think we'll get 3 points, and then Edward will be going into that international break thinking, thank God for that. I don't have to make a decision. Anyway, guys, before we leave this preview, can I just say thank you very much to Paul from United Rantcast for joining us, to Steve from Stephen Howson FC for joining us, and of course to Lee from Newcastle Fan TV. He'll be on the fan cams with us at the weekend as well. We'll get an opposition reaction to hopefully a Manchester United win. Before I go though, make sure you're voting in the Northwest Football Awards for us, for Tahith Chong, and for David De Gea. We want to get a Manchester United treble. The link is in the description below. And don't forget, we'll have you covered all of the match day. For now though, I'm Adam, here's Paul, here's Steve, here's Lee. We're out of here.